All right, perfect. Well, welcome everybody. I am Amy Loudermilk. I am the program manager for Arts Build. Apologies for not being on camera today, but I've had an allergic reaction to my mask, and so nobody wants to see that. So, um, but anyway, just wanted to get started. Again, to everybody, we are recording today, and because of the type of Zoom account we have, we don't have the warning or the little option for you to opt out of the meeting. So if you're uncomfortable with being recorded or being part of something that's being recorded, please feel free to leave now, and you can catch this later on our YouTube page. For anybody who comes in late, you can also catch this on the YouTube page, or needs to leave early. Just go to Arts Build YouTube and you'll find under shared services this recording. So we are here today to fulfill Arts Build's mission to build community through the arts. Again, I'm the program manager for Arts Build. I know Miss Lynn's got a full schedule for us today, so I'll be quick with my announcements. For those of you who might be joining us from a time away, we are accepting applications for our Holmberg Arts Leadership Institute. The deadline for that is Friday, March 26th. I'm going to put the link to that leadership application in the chat here in just a second, but you can also find that link on our Facebook page. We've got it pinned to the discussion in our Facebook. You can also find it on our website under Arts Leadership. Just go to artsbuild.com. And additionally, for some of the nonprofits who are joining us today, just wanted to let you know that we have an opportunity through the Ironman Foundation. Should Ironman actually take place this year, but they are now accepting applications. It's called the Volunteer Grant Opportunity, and it's a way for nonprofits who can come and get a group together to volunteer at the triathlon to help in different areas. Believe me, you're not being asked to do anything athletic at this event. It's simply to help, and you can get grant funds up to $1,000. So if you would like to know more about that opportunity for your organization, the grant application is probably one of the easiest that I've ever filled out. So if you would just email me and I can send you the information. Again, I'll put my email in the chat, but it's just amy@artsbuild.com. So with that, I'll hand things over to Miss Lynn Talbot with HR Biz Solutions, who has lots of details for us on what's new in QuickBooks.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Amy. So you're all here today because you're ready to learn a little bit more about QuickBooks, and Amy, when I do this presentation mode, for whatever reason, I have tried and tried, I can't see the chat. So if you'll just do me a favor, if somebody, since everybody's muted and can't, interrupt me, if somebody does have a question, pop it in the chat and I'll let Amy, kind of interrupt me, or will that work for you, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Okay, and if not, I have an employee, Angie Bandy. You can unmute her and she can help me moderate the chat, because sometimes I do talk a little fast and I might gloss over something and you'll be like, wait, what? The good thing is that you can always go back to the recording to try to figure it out. But if you are the one that works on QBO in your nonprofit, you're welcome to open your QBO. So when I move around the screen and show you these new features, you can see how to access those features in your book. So most of you with QBO, you'll be in the QBO nonprofit one, which should be equivalent to QBO Plus. Some of you I know actually have QBO Advanced, but most of all the features I'm going to show you today, unless I say they're in QBO Advanced, are going to be in your file. So that'll be great.
And Lynn, I just made Angie a co-host, so Angie, feel free to monitor that chat. I know Lynn would love to involve you guys in this. So
yeah,
trial by fire.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you, Angie. It just kind of interrupts. Lynn, we got a question here that somebody has, and I can, hop back before it gets, but I'm going to try to finish in 45 minutes and then have questions at the end. But if I do have something that you're like, look, I can't find that in my file, or how does that work again? Because there are about 30 new features. I couldn't decide which ones to go with, but I picked the top like 25 or 30. So there's a lot. So I'm going to be moving pretty quickly through them. Some of these features you may not care about at all, but some of them you're going to want to go back and open your file and start looking at them. So if you have a question and I gloss over it too quickly, just let me know. So I do encourage you to open up your QBO file if you have one. You can kind of follow along. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lynn Talbot, and I own HR Business Solutions, and we teach and train QuickBooks. And so we're partnered with ArtsBuild to make sure the nonprofit world is, as trained and efficient on QuickBooks Online as you can be. So, all right, without further ado, we're going to get started here. Let's see. So this is our team. We have a team. Right now we have 11 bookkeepers, and so we teach and train on bookkeeping. That's our staff. We're right here in Red Bank, Tennessee. So we do provide other services, and as you know, we partner with ArtsBuild. You get a really good rate. Some of you, I know we're working with John and a few others on some human resources and some bookkeeping. So if you have the need for employee handbooks or HR audit, job descriptions, management coaching, any of these things, anything HR related, because most of you aren't going to have an HR department, but on occasion you will need some HR services, especially now with the CARES Act, who's qualifying, how do we get them leave and things like that. Feel free to give us a call. We have some HR people on staff that can help you with those. So I don't know if anybody here is on QuickBooks Desktop. That used to be the standard for nonprofits. They had a QuickBooks for Nonprofits desktop version that a lot of people were on. So if you are on desktop, we're not really talking about that today. And I can guarantee you none of those features are going to be available in desktop that I talk about today. They're just available in QBO. The QuickBooks Desktop is an older, it's just kind of an older built model, and they're not updating it and adding new features as often as they are with the QuickBooks Online feature. So, so QuickBooks Online is not just a copy of QuickBooks Desktop Online. It's much different. So if you have questions about that, we can help you find it. If you're looking to move to QuickBooks Online, you're going to want to go to TechSoup.org. They're going to get it to you for $75 a year. Do not order it from Intuit. It will be $75 a month. So if for some reason there's somebody here that's still on desktop and they see this presentation and they're like, I've got to go to QBO, you too, for $75 a year can be on QuickBooks Online and have all these cool features. So a lot of people ask me, well, how is QBO updated? And basically the developers are Intuit and they're updating it continuously all the time. And for people like us that are on QuickBooks, we open our QuickBooks and almost every morning there's some new feature or something's been moved or something's improved. And so we often get updates, but sometimes we don't get updates and we just see it when you see it. But we're on the, I am on the, one of the sort of development teams. So I am able to beta test a lot of things that goes on with QuickBooks. And I have a conference call with them, and then I'm allowed to beta test things. So I do know about things before they come out, the big things. So it's kind of fun for us to do that as well. And so that's how it's updated. So there's something in your QuickBooks called QBO Labs. And if you'll go to your gear icon and you'll look down on the left-hand side right here, it's a little button that says QBO Labs, and more than likely you've never clicked on that because it looks kind of like, what the heck? But if you click on that, those are some places, those are some things that are in there that QuickBooks development team is working on, and they're asking people like you to see if it's something that you would like to add this feature temporarily to your QuickBooks and then give them feedback about it. So you can turn those on or turn them off. That you can turn those features on or off. And so here's what it looks like when you go, and this just happens to be mine. They turn on and off features with different people all over the country, depending on if you're a nonprofit or whatever. So yours may look a little bit different. but they always have this cool import style. If you want to make your invoices look great, most of you don't send a lot of invoices, but maybe you do. And then there's some scanning things you can do. And you just use this little toggle button here and you just toggle them on or off. And yours might have 10 different options in there to turn on or off. And I have mine turned on because I like to beta anything. You know, I'll test anything and see how it is. So that's kind of fun. Go in there and see if there's something that you might like to use and turn it on and play around with it. And if you don't like it, just turn it off. And they will ask you for feedback. You can just click that little feedback button and tell them, you know, this is great, or no, I'm not going to use it. So if you're, sorry, if you're using QuickBooks every day, you know that QuickBooks is always trying to sell you something. And it's really annoying. It is, because you're paying for the service, but sorry. But constantly they're just like, buy insurance, you know, buy this, and it's annoying. You can turn off or close some of those windows. You can just X that little window out whenever you see it, and it should stay collapsed for you for at least a while till they come out with something else new to sell you. So the insurance tab is rolling out. You know, QuickBooks is trying to be everything for everybody, and I just would prefer that they just stick to their little highway of doing accounting and bookkeeping. But they're constantly trying to roll out other things. So you could purchase insurance or workers' comp, and you can always upgrade. They're always want you to upgrade. But there are some features, like I wouldn't buy my insurance. Workers' comp is fine if you have your payroll through QuickBooks. It integrates, and you don't have to have those audits, you know, with your worker comp audit. It just pays real time, and you just need to make sure the categories are correct for the workers' comp, and it pays it. And so that's actually a pretty good deal. And the fees for workers' comp are regulated, so you're not going to get exorbitant fees even if you go through QuickBooks. There is a new digital bank. It's kind of cool, and QuickBooks calls it QuickBooks Cash, and it's free, and it actually pays you 1% each month. And I put this in here today because I thought, well, nonprofits, like anybody, you could use some extra income, you know, just income that you don't have to do anything to get. So it's really cool. I actually have this bank account and I use it, and it does work, and it does do what it says it's going to do. If you purchase their payroll inside of QuickBooks, they have now a new tier. It's kind of pricey, and it does have some human resources support with that. But in general, when you ask a question, a robot's just going to send you an article. So just beware. We're not robots, you know, you want to call us instead. So this is the QuickBooks Cash. It's a free bank account. So it is, it's different than anything you've probably heard of. And maybe some of you are already looking at the regulations on bank, but the regulations are changing. And the SEC has allowed all of these banks to come on board that don't have physical presence. So, you know, we're used to going to SunTrust or, you know, TVCFU and all that kind of stuff. Well, these are banks that don't have a physical presence, so they don't have to pay, you know, for all these staff and all that kind of stuff. So they actually give you back 1% interest on your money that's sitting in there. They get you the instant deposit with no cost to you. And that means no extra cost. Your deposits, if you do ACH or like merchant services, those account fees would still apply. But they, you can also apply to get the money in 30 minutes if for some reason you felt like you needed it, you know, that fast. They have these virtual envelopes, and this is kind of cool for nonprofits because a lot of times you have an account, and I'll see this on your chart of accounts and stuff. You're like, well, look, I need to save this amount of money for this program, or this grant came in, and you know, 10,000 of it is restricted to this. And you want to make sure that, right, you get a restricted grant, you want to make sure that you're able to produce reports that say, yes, I used your restricted grants for the guidelines that you gave me. And these little envelopes will do that. You can just kind of put $10,000 in that envelope. Now it's still in the bank account, but it's kind of like a sub account of the bank account. And you can see it right there. And you know, and your staff or whoever knows, that money is restricted and can only be used for ABC. And then when you need to use the money, you take it out of the envelope and the envelope goes down to, the $9,000 or whatever. So it's kind of cool. What you should do, if you're interested, you can talk to, and if you're not the director, talk to the director and just look into that account and see what you think. It doesn't cost anything to set it up. So it's kind of a no-brainer to set it up and just put some money in it and then kind of see, what you think. But once you move your merchant services into that QuickBooks Cash, that's when kind of like the real magic happens, and that the money's deposited much quicker than it is in a regular bank account. So that's one of the benefits, is that you get the instant deposit. Somebody puts it in, QuickBooks Cash puts it in for you right away. I don't know how they do it, but they do. And the bank can't do that. It has to go through the SEC system every night, So it has a cool cash flow planner with it too, and that's really nice for nonprofits. You can put that up against your budget and make sure that you've got the cash you need to maintain that budget. So it uses all of these AI models to help predict cash flow. So it uses your history to predict the future, and the way we set that up for you can help you a lot. So that's pretty cool. Any questions about QuickBooks Cash? Anything? Go take a look at it if you want. I figure, get a little 1%. And some of y'all have some big, some big grants or cash money just sitting there, maybe not getting the 1%. Maybe it is, but maybe not. Okay, we all know about the new 1099s. Nonprofits are required to send 1099s to anybody who you paid more than $600 to in the fiscal year, not your fiscal year, but the calendar year that the IRS, is obligated to, January 1st to December 31st. Often your year might be different, but anybody that, and the new NEC is there, that's just called non-employee compensation. And they've changed it this year. So it's just a new form. And when you go in to do that, it will populate the correct form for you. And if you have not sent out your 1099s and you're like, I didn't know I had to send out my 1099s, you can do it right inside QuickBooks under the Vendor Center. When you click on the Vendor Center, it'll say, a little drop-down menu will say, or actually, I think it's just tagged to the upper one now that says, calculate my 1099s. And it'll walk you through like a little wizard, like who did you pay and all this stuff and what did they do? And then they'll know to pull out a 1099 NEC or just a regular 1099. So there's a new tag feature. I don't know if you've seen this, but it showed up maybe a couple months ago, and it should be rolled out to all companies now. So you should see it in your QBO window. And if a tag feature is sort of like a class. It's sort of like an extra class. A lot of you use the class features to do your programs. You could do a profit loss by class, right? That's or profit loss by program, income and expenses, or money donated in, and then the expenses for that particular program. And then you're able to report to the board, look, we had this fundraiser, this walkathon or whatever it was, and we were able to raise this much money and we spent this much money, and therefore your profit, is the bottom line. You can build groups related to tag. So tag is just another way to do something besides classes. I don't know if you would need it, but if you had something like a restricted grant, or you just had a report to say, because you know how the boards are, everybody wants a report because they're special and they want it a special way. And you're like, look, I can't get that report in QuickBooks. I have to get it by class, or I have to get it by this or by grant. I can't get it by what you're saying because I already have it set up this way. The tag feature may be something that you could introduce. You could tag vendors that are like, maybe they need to be 1099. You could tag people that are out of state, whatever you want to tag them with, you can. And so it doesn't affect your books at all. It's just another way for you to generate a report that you might need. So if you go to the gear icon, and you'll see it right here under tags, and you can check your QuickBooks to make sure you have it. If you don't, it should be coming soon, but I think it got completely rolled out in February. But if not, you can chat with QuickBooks and say, I want the tag feature. And go ahead and turn it on, and you can kind of start using it, and you'll find some different ways, to use that. So that's another thing that's new in QuickBooks. There's an enhanced find button, and it's actually really good. The QuickBooks find button for either desktop or QBO in the past has been super hit or miss. Like you would put something in there, like you're trying to find, $100. Like, I know I paid this vendor, I can't remember their name, but and I'm looking for this $100 because maybe you forgot to put the vendor name on it or something like that. You can just type in up here, $100, and everything in QuickBooks with that, whatever you've typed in there, everything, the whole history of QuickBooks, it's going to pull up all those transactions that you have. And the nice thing about the find button now is that it doesn't just do dollar amounts. I know I was looking for something for a client, and they had, I can't remember, they had like a roof or something put on, and then the roof leaked. And so a year later, they were like, well, we can't remember. I can't remember who the roofer is. And they've got, 10,000 vendors. And it just so happens that somebody didn't put the vendor name, like they didn't enter the vendor name because they're like, oh, we don't need to enter it because we don't need them again. So luckily in the description, they wrote roof, roof or something like that. So we just typed in roof, and we were able to find it in the memo section and able to call the roofer to get him back. So that little find button can be kind of cool. So don't think about it just for numbers. Think about it for anything. Find an invoice. It looks through your entire the entire history of QuickBooks, and it will display everything. So it's much improved. The desktop version doesn't do this, just the online version is much improved. You may have noticed back in maybe October, November, they pulled out some new banking tab enhancements, and the banking tab sometimes will come and go. It'll go away. I can show you how to open that window back up if your banking tabs have gotten collapsed. But those interface improvements have, I like them. At first I was like, why did they bother? Sometimes QuickBooks developers just need to keep their job, and they're just like adding stuff that's just adding stuff to add stuff, or adding buttons to add buttons, and we don't really need it. But this banking feature, I think they've really hit on a good thing. First of all, there's a little bit faster page load response time. Many of you may have noticed in the past month, I have at least, that QuickBooks Online has slowed down a little bit. You get that little circle, and it's just because they're expanding so fast, and everybody is trying to get their taxes out right now. So they're really in QuickBooks more than normal. They are trying to improve those times. We do talk about that at our meetings, that they're adding more servers. They have servers all over the world, and every country in the world. It's crazy. And so they just keep adding and adding to that. And I don't know when you top that out, but that's what happens there. So the banking feed is a little bit faster, and then there's some you can search, you can do some searching on there, and you can reorganize things if you want to organize it by date or by the amount. You can click the little button at the top of the column and you can organize it. I think I have a picture of that. Let's see. So now when you go in, the default is that it comes in here for review, right? This account says, hey, you have 25 transactions in QuickBooks, and it defaults to the review tab. And if you were to scroll down, you would see 25 transactions waiting for you to categorize, right? And then this tab is a new tab. It used to be called something else. I can't remember what it was called, but now it's called categorize. So let's say you're in the review tab and you click on something, and you know how QuickBooks is always making suggestions, and maybe you're just kind of going through and clicking, and then right after you click on something, you're like, oh wait, I think I need to tag that to a program. And then you're like, where did it go? Right? You're like, I think I was in the checking account, or was I in the savings? And you're like, where did it go? Just pop over here to this categorized, and it'll be right there. And it'll say, these are the things that you have categorized, and they will be in order from the most recent. So I really like it. If you're in the review tab and you're clicky, and then you go, oops, there's no undo button in the review tab, right? You don't know what to do. Pop over to the categorize tab, and when you open it up, there that transaction will be, and to the right there'll be a little undo button, and then it takes it right back to the review tab for you to review more carefully this time, maybe. So I do like those. And this excluded tab, you can always choose to exclude something if for some reason it's already duplicated in QuickBooks. You don't use the excluded tab very much, because if it happened at the bank or the credit card, you're going to want to have it. But sometimes, often this happens with payroll. Payroll will create a hard, like a hardwired, kind of check to payroll or to the IRS or to SUDA, something like that. And then QuickBooks will come in. Oh, here's your little payment to SUDA. And for whatever reason, QuickBooks refuses to merge those two because QuickBooks somehow has it hardwired and it doesn't let it match anything. And that would be because it's in QuickBooks, you can go find it in QuickBooks, and that you can't delete that because it's hardwired in there. There's no delete button on it. So in that case, you may have to take that bank entry after you've checked and made sure it was correct. You will have to go click the exclude button, and then it just hangs out here in this excluded thing. So if later you needed to look at something, you could just open it up, hit the undo button, it goes back to the review tab. So that's kind of cool. And some of you may already know all of this, but when you have all these bank feeds up here, I don't have a picture of it, but right here to the right, if I had a full picture of this, there's a little up arrow. And if you click that up arrow, these windows, the big windows, I like these windows because this is kind of visual for me, checking and savings, and you might have credit cards and things like that. But if you click that little up button, that window will collapse. And then you're like, where'd everything go? And you just see one, you just see the word checking and then this little, edit button. And so if that has happened to you, because I think at one time they rolled it out and collapsed everything, and we got hundreds of calls that all their checking accounts were gone, there's a little button to the right, it does up and then it goes down. And when you click it, it'll open those tabs back up. So that's something to kind of notice. Okay, the QuickBooks mobile app. I don't know if any of you use the mobile app. If you do, pop that in the chat and let me know if you use the mobile app, because the mobile app is really cool. And to me, if you're not using it, you're missing out on maybe an easy way to get things in QuickBooks. And I know that a lot of the nonprofits who have been here like for years, they have certain ways they like to do things. They want to take everything to the copier and everything to the scanner, and they have like filing cabinets all over the place, so they file everything all the way back to the 80s. The IRS does not require you to keep all of those elaborate records anymore. Actually, everything can be kept electronically with very, very few exceptions. So all of your payroll information, everything is going to be kept electronically, either in QuickBooks or Paychecks or whoever does that. With your apps, so one of the things you can do if people are bringing you receipts, maybe somebody at the front desk has to run out and get supplies, they take petty cash, or you hand them a check card or a debit card or whatever, they run out to Hobby Lobby, they come back and they hand you a receipt, right? They just stick it on your desk or in a box or something. All you have to do is download that mobile app, hit that little plus sign right here. You're just gonna hit the little plus sign, and you're gonna hit this receipt capture, and you lay that receipt out, snap a picture of it, and it will create an expense based on the information on that receipt. So QuickBooks uses AI, and it knows, it's learning and learning and learning all the receipts in the whole country and probably all over the world. And it will read real quickly. It's like, oh, I know what Hobby Lobby is. And then it will say, oh, I know what the date is. It looks the date, looks at the vendor, and now it's looking for the amount. And generally these are clear enough. And if they've seen enough Hobby Lobby receipts, they zero right in on the amount line. And then the other thing they look for is how did this person pay for it? Is the word cash written on there? Because sometimes it'll say cash transaction. Does it have a bunch of X's with the last 4 digits of the credit card? QuickBooks is going to look at that, and it's going to try to identify which of your bank accounts it came out of, or did it come out of your cash, maybe your cash drawer. So when it does that, it does an OCR, that optical character recognition. It creates a digital image of that receipt, puts it into QuickBooks all at the same time. When you snap that receipt and say accept, it does all of that in like 2 seconds. It goes into QuickBooks and it sits there as like an expense, kind of waiting for you to tell it where to put it, kind of like in that bank feed. It doesn't come into the bank feed, but it comes into the bank feed tab. At the top, it says bank feed, and there's a little tab that says receipts. And that's where this will come into. Then the next day, when that credit card sinks in, QuickBooks gets all excited because it says, oh, I know, I see the last 4 digits, and it's trying to look in that credit card to find a receipt or an amount that matches that receipt. And 9 times out of 10, QuickBooks does a pretty good job. It says, oh, here's one from Hobby Lobby for $19.50. Oh, here's one from Hobby Lobby for $19.50. When you open your bank feeds, it has the big match button. We love the match button, right? Because the match button is all about, yes, I've done something right. QuickBooks matched it. And it's always like a little high five, when that match button goes off. And you will look at it and say, yes, I want to match that. And then you tell it, where is it going? I mean, supplies, what's it doing? And you have an opportunity right there to hit the program or hit a tag or hit the class that you want to put that in if you need to classify that, in a certain way. And then off it goes. Then when it hits the transaction amount, when it hits the transaction, the register, bank register or credit card register, when you open that transaction, at the bottom on the left hand, you might notice there's a little paper clip there. If that paper clip is blue, there will be a receipt attached to it, and you'll see a little copy. It'll usually have like a bank feed description, and you click on that receipt and there's a picture of your actual receipt. That's how you're going to store your receipts for the IRS for the future. The IRS doesn't come and look at your receipts and stuff, or maybe you have audits. They don't really like to come over and look at your receipts. They really want them digital. They're going to ask you to send them over digitally. So that's a cool one. And I hope that you guys won't be shy about at least trying it a couple of times. Do the app. Now you can only open the app if you have access to QuickBooks. So like maybe the person out front or the front desk person who doesn't have access to QuickBooks, they cannot open this app. It's only people in QuickBooks. So one of the things, they'll have to bring the receipt to you and then you snap it. But they also can email it to you. You can open up that little receipt window in QuickBooks, the banking tab, again, the receipt tab, and has a little window there and it says drag and drop your receipt here. So if you're emailed a receipt, you could just grab it and drop it in there and it does the same thing. So easy. So we like that little mobile app. So that's been around for a while, but it wasn't working fantastic before, but since it's been out for about a year and a half, the AI has really improved, and I give it like a A-. I think it's pretty good. Every now and then it just doesn't find the receipt and is clearly sitting there, and so you just have to attach it another way. So. All right. So this is when I talked about the receipt snap. On your phone, you can see for review or reviewed, and this is kind of what it looks like there. You put this in your business checking, and that's just showing what it looks like on your phone. All right, so there's another new feature. This is the bill or receipt upload. We talked about how you can bring a receipt into QuickBooks if it's just like a little digital receipt. You had lunch with somebody or you bought something at Walmart. Those are the type of receipts that if they get lost, a lot of us are like, well, who ate lunch and what'd you buy at Walmart? Like, we don't know, right? So important to get those type of receipts into QuickBooks quickly, but also bills. So now you can load a bill right into QuickBooks. And so this helps us a lot as the bookkeeper. If you want us to pay a bill, or if you're asking us to help you with cash flow, we need to load those bills up as soon as they come in, and we're going to put the due date. QuickBooks will actually read all of that. It tries to read the due date and how much is due and all that stuff. It'll put the invoice number on it, and then it will create what's called an AP, an accounts payable, right? That's where you go to the accounts payable tab and say, what are my bills, QuickBooks? What have I put in here? And this receipt upload will create that bill for you. So you load your, I say a bill, like you load your invoice that somebody's given you to pay, say it's Verizon or something like that. You load that up, QuickBooks will OCR it, and it'll create a digital image of it. And it gives you the opportunity right there, if for some reason it didn't read something right, like maybe it got a digit wrong, or you want to change the parameters, you don't, even though it's not due till March 5th, you want to pay it, March 1st. You can go and change any of that right there in that screen. And then it creates that bill in there. Then it attaches that bill, that invoice that you received to the bill. And that way, if maybe you're entering those, then the director has to go say, okay, it's Friday, we're paying bills. And they don't have to go, you don't have to hand them a list of bills. They can just click on it and look at each bill right there and say, okay, yes, I want to pay these bills. And again, they stay in QuickBooks for the record, for the future, for the auditor, for you, for a director, whoever wants to look at it. Because, you guys know the thing about being nonprofit is you do have to be kind of transparent about your spending. And that's the good thing about QuickBooks. It allows you to do that. And you're maybe the board chair wants to have access, and we can give them a view only access. We don't want them dinking around, but we're like, yeah, you can look at any bill, anything, and anything that we do and how we're doing the books. It's just kind of a nice way to do that. And it does cut down on a lot of the paper in the office. And I know a lot of people are working remotely, so it's just easier to do things when they're you get a bill in the email, you just drag it in there, put it up there. I mean, how easy is that than to open the envelope, go scan it, download it, rename it, upload it, and all that stuff. So those are some things to save you some time. Like I said, you can add the email to it, you can drag and drop it, or you could take a picture just using the QuickBooks app, Any questions about the app or bill pay? So here's that little drag and drop. I told you this is the banking tab, this is the rules tab, and then this is the receipts tab. And you can grab things and drop them in here, or you can if you haven't set up your mobile app yet, you would put your mobile number in here, and it would send a link to your mobile app, and then it knows that when it comes from that phone, it's going to this file. So you would have to add your mobile number there. Super, super easy. And then when you go to upload your bills, say this is just one from California. This is what it looks like. I told you have a chance to say this is a bill, or maybe you've already paid the bill, because a lot of us have things on like automatic. Like my Verizon just comes out of my credit card. I don't enter the Verizon bill and wait for it to come in the mail and all that. I just have it automatically done. And this way I could say, no, I don't need to pay the bill. I just need to record it as an expense because it's getting ready to come through in the next couple of days. Then QuickBooks will find that expense and try to match it. So, and then these are all the different categories, utilities. You can tell it what you need. You can certainly write a memo there as well. So it does allow you to personalize what you need to do with it when they get in. Okay, this is another new thing. It's called Melio, and Melio is a bill paying feature that QuickBooks bought about maybe October, November, and now they're rolling it out. So it's available. You should be able to sign up for Melio. The problem is some of the banks don't have. It's not rolled out to all the banks in the country yet. And since QuickBooks is out in California, and for whatever reason they think California rules the whole country, all the banks in California are on it, but not all the banks on the East Coast are in it. I use First Tennessee or First Horizon, and it's not working yet with First Horizon. It is, I believe, with Bank of America and Wells Fargo, some of the bigger ones. But you might want to look and see if your bank is upgrading. I think they're adding like 1,000 banks a week. So at some point, your bank will let you do that. So this is just a free embedded QuickBooks solution to pay your bills. That's all that is. So you can have multiple payment options. Sometimes people will get one or two, 2 or 3 bills. Maybe you're doing something and then you've got to pay. You want to write one check, but you want to pay 3 invoices with it. It allows you to do that as well. It's totally free. There's there's no charge at all to use this. They go to your bank. So Melio connects with your bank. Now you're already connected with your bank with QuickBooks because you're bringing in your daily activity, into the bank feeds. So this is going to connect to that bill paying feature at the bank. So you do have to have the bill paying feature turned on at the bank. Some you have to turn on, some are already turned on for you. And then if that banking feature is turned on, Melio will go in, and you say, hey, I want to pay this bill to Verizon. You click on the bill and it says something like, pay your first bill. How do you do it? You can pay it with your bank. I usually just pay things in my ACH, or you can pay it with a credit card. And there's other ways that if you choose, they might charge you like a fee or something. So you can go to pay bills. It'll ask you this question, and then that's about it. It goes to your bank, creates the bill. The bank mails the bill, or the check, sorry, mails the check, not the bill, mails the check to that vendor, and that vendor will get it in the mail. And if for some reason that check is not cashed in 90 days, here's one of the best parts about that, Emilio. If that check is not cashed within 90 days, the bank will deposit the money back into your account, send you an email and say, that check to HR Biz never got cashed. We've closed it out and we've put a stop payment on it. No charge whatsoever. But mostly Melio is not going to mail a bill. 99% of the time, they're just going to ACH it. They're just going to go to Verizon and go to your utilities and go to stuff and say, hey, we got a bill. They go, yep. They open up their end and they pay it directly to them. It's a way to pay bills very quickly as well. If you're just paying an individual vendor that doesn't have access to maybe a good bank or something, you would have to mail a check. But in general, it's going to ACH it out, that night or the next day. So just another option to try to pay bills and do things remotely, because all of us can't just drive down to the office and get out the old checkbook, write the check, and then maybe the director isn't there and he's not coming in until tomorrow, and you have to lock the checks up. And sometimes it can take a whole week just to get the director to sign a check. This way it's all done. Of course, you can set up parameters that, the director says, well, I don't want just, I don't want my somebody just writing checks to everybody. Well, you can set those up in the banking rules. You're not allowed to write a check over $1,000 or things like that. So you can set that up and control it if you like. But it's just a real easy way to pay bills without having to drive around and, get checks and things like that. All right, let's see what time it is. Oh man, I got a lot to go. Cash flow tools just rolling out. It's only out to about 50% of the clients right now. So you can click on it and see. Right under your dashboard will be this cash flow. If you don't have this cash flow, it's not yet to you. It's just not to your file yet. It's being rolled out. So it's kind of a cool thing. You can do the overview in the planner, and it starts to predict your cash flow based on your past cash flow and all those bills you queued up, right? So maybe this person queued up a whole bunch of bills to pay on this day, and they're like, oops, you're going to be a little cash poor here. So you're going to want to know that ahead of time, right? That you may be a little cash poor right here, and you're going to want to pull some money from somewhere else. The cash flow tool is kind of cool. If you're doing reports, and reports are real important to nonprofits because, that's all they want, right? Everybody's like, I need a report for this and a report for that. So it allows you to edit some of the titles of the report. Used to, when you ran a profit and loss, or I think nonprofits, they call them a statement of activity, it would just say statement of activity. And this way you can change the title, because if you're running a report and it's just the report for results of the golf tournament, you can click that new button and you can say golf report, year end or whatever, golf report, final. And then you can send them that report. So it's kind of cool that you can change that. I mean, you used to couldn't do that. So you can also rename them. Some people, QuickBooks is just going to default to income, but you can call it revenue, you can call it donations, whatever you want that income section to say. And, gross profit is usually that, but you can, move those now. So there's a little edit your section titles, and in the report, it will call it these things. And I think donations is proper for you as well. Maybe there's other things you like to call it. So when you're printing your reports now, and y'all always have like long reports, because, with nonprofits, you got to have, 2-page profit and loss. You can click these little button and it will do the smart page break for you. And then it will repeat that header. So if you've given it a title, it'll run to that next page and do that. And then this way, the smart page break won't break right in the middle of, payroll or something. It's going to roll down until there's a sub total, and then it's going to roll over to the next page. So I like that too. So it's just a matter of looking and seeing where those little buttons are when you're going to print your report. Look for the little thing that says, would you like to edit this report? And you can click edit and you'll get all kind of windows and stuff. All right, so there's a lot of new payroll they're rolling out. Y'all are probably all good with payroll, but if you have payroll with QuickBooks Online Payroll, you will notice that it's changed. They're now charging more money for it, and there's just different things that they're adding to it. They have enhanced some of the features, but I will tell you that the support for most of those are horrible right now with QuickBooks Online. They rolled out all this payroll, and somehow they didn't manage to train their staff. So we are finding ourselves, all 10 of us, on hold for hours and hours and hours with payroll, trying to fix our client's payroll that we didn't do anything, or the client didn't do anything, but because they rolled out this new program, some things got kind of stuck in the middle. And so if you're having problems with payroll, you can let us know, or you can use the chat feature and just let them know. But one of the cool new things, and I just tried this because I hired my new employees, and I just tried this and it worked. When you go to hire a new employee, when you're typing in their name, and you just like Angie, I just typed in Angie, and then below that it'll say enter Angie's email address, and then there's a little button that says, would you like for us to send to Angie all the documents she needs to set up her payroll? And it's through what's called Workforce. That's what QuickBooks Online Payroll uses. That's just their platform, so that your employees can go click, log into Workforce, and they can see their past paychecks. And since paychecks are directly deposited, they want to go see what they can go ahead of time and see what they're getting paid, and did they get their holiday or vacation or whatever. And so this employee self setup is so nice, because I just send it and they put a copy of it, and it's all secure, much better than sending stuff through email. You don't really need copies of people's driver's license or their, social security number and things like that going through email. So I prefer to do it this way. And I think it worked, right? I think you just go in and do that. So
yeah, it worked very smoothly.
Great. Yeah, great. And I was pleased because it just came on my end. Oh, here's the little thing. We'll add an email, and I just click this button here and ask the employee to do their things themselves. So look for that. If you're adding an employee in QBO Payroll, you can click this button and there you go. So that is one positive thing about QuickBooks Payroll. There is nothing else positive I can say about them. All right. Any questions in the chat, you guys? I hope everybody's still listening.
There's a lot of chit chat about the app and the excitement around that. One thing that we just missed, would you mind going over how to add the mobile number again?
Yes, I'm not sure. I think if you go to that receipt tab, it will walk you through it. And I think it's on the left. When you get to the screen, it'll say, it'll show you who's eligible to receive the app. So whoever has access to it. So it'll usually be like the director or the treasurer and whoever. And then if you want to do that, you can either click the box, or you can and it'll ask you, and it'll walk you through and say, well, what's that phone number? Because it has to link what the picture you're taking with an account, and that's how it does that, And I do have people with several QuickBooks accounts, like not in nonprofit, but they'll have like 5 accounts, and that's a little bit of a problem because it doesn't know where to send it to. So we do the drag and drop method with him because he can't do it. So, but I think it's like a little wizard. It'll just walk you through it. And that's a new feature since I've already had it. I've not walked through that feature. So to try it out, but you're welcome to give me a buzz if you try it and it doesn't work, or you can click the chat button and ask them if it doesn't work. The chat button's not too bad in QuickBooks. So. All right, good. Any other questions? Yay, so maybe y'all are excited about that app. I hope that you will be. All right, this is another one that's really cool. It's rolling out now, and this is kind of an auto fetching bank statements. About half of our clients are already, the bank statements are already coming in. So like Bank of America, SunTrust, some of the big banks do this for whatever reason. First Horizon was on it like in June and July, and then somehow it stopped working and they're trying to update it again. But what this is when you go to reconcile your bank account, you click the reconcile button, gear icon, reconcile, and it'll say, hey, here's your bank statements or credit card statements or whatever. And there's a little button that says, I think it says view statements or visit. Yeah, I think it says view statements. And if that little button is active, oh, here it is. I think I've got it right here. Yeah, view statement. If that button is active, you know that your bank statement is being brought in, and you'll see the bank statements all lined up over here. It'll say January, February, March, April, May, and you do the drop down, and maybe you've got a credit card there. The credit card will be January, February, March, April, May. So all your bank statements stored right inside QuickBooks is really nice. The auditors love this because you know how the auditors are always asking, I need all your bank statements. I need your closing documents. I need the loan. I need your line of credit. No, it's all going to be right there. If your bank does not upload them, because sometimes things like line of credit, they're just not syncing with QuickBooks. And if it's not syncing with QuickBooks, it's obviously not going to come into QuickBooks. But there's a little button when you do this view statement, and there's a little button that says something like, don't see your statement, click here to drag it in, and you can just drag it right in there. So we encourage people to store all those documents in there. Again, transparency, and then number 2, your audit. So y'all know, I mean, if you are audited, it's expensive. I mean, the average audit is $5,000 to $7,000 if you're in that. I know some of y'all are smaller, but if you're in that big group that needs that big audit, and they're charging you by the hour and by the time. So if you have all this stuff in here already, the auditor is just going to whip through it. When we got our file ready for one of the nonprofits in town, their bill used to be $18,000. It's now below $4,000 because we just got everything in there that they needed. And they're like, wow. So it can really shave off some time from your audit. Now, you might not need an audit, but if you ever do, they'll be in there, right? That's pretty cool. Let me see if I missed anything on the previous slide. Yeah, if your bank doesn't participate, you can attach it and drag it in there. That's right. So, so that's a cool one. Look for that feature. If you don't, you might not have it because your bank might not participate. If not, they're adding banks all the time and they'll participate. And one thing about the banking, you guys might have noticed, is that, you know, some banks just have a better relationship with QuickBooks Online than other banks. And some of them just disconnect for no reason. I know I use First Horizon in my company, and every 90 days, they do a little thing that says, oh, you know, your bank stopped connecting, click here to update your information. And that is a new SEC rule the Securities and Exchange Commission had for things that are syncing with banks, because they were nervous that people were getting into people's banks. And so QuickBooks has a very, very high security to get into your bank. And most of the banks now, every 90 days, ask you to click the button and, you know, ask you your mother's maiden name or whoever is on there, and the questions, and then it syncs back up. It says, yep, that's you, and it syncs back up. So it's not really your bank, and it's not really QuickBooks. It's just the new rules. And sometimes banks stop syncing because if you might get a notice from your bank, hey, we're going to be offline Sunday night. I know SunTrust does this all the time. We're going to be offline Sunday night. Then you come in Monday morning and your bank's disconnected. Well, that's because they did an update, and it breaks all the ties when it does the updates. So the banks are constantly doing security updates, and those are good things. So unfortunately, it unsyncs your bank, or maybe unsyncs your credit card. Credit cards seem to be pretty tough. They don't seem to, you know, to have as many problems as the bank does, but you have a lot more to lose in your bank. You don't want somebody getting into your operations account, whereas if they get into your credit card, they just cut the credit card off and move on. So so that's something that you might see. If you're experiencing that, just, you know, that's just a way life is going to be from now on for security reasons. All right, so there's a 2-tab dashboard that's called Getting Things Done or Business Overview. It's being rolled out now, so it may not be in your window yet. And this is where you can see your setup and everything. I'll give you an example of it here, I think. So in your dashboard, normally you come and your QuickBooks, at least on my clients, it just defaults right here to dashboard, right? You're like, what is all this stuff? I don't really care. You can hide these things. This is where they're always trying to sell you stuff, and just click that hide button. over here's your bank accounts. You can click this edit button. And when you do, there'll be a little plus sign in front of these, and you can drag them and rearrange them. Maybe they're not in an order that you prefer. Most people like their checking right up front, you know, and you can click the edit button and drag them to how you like them. So these are just your different shortcuts. I don't know, I don't use those, but you might use those. So here's the business overview, a brand new tab. So you can look in your QuickBooks and see if you have this tab here. And I'll go to the next screen. I think I did a business overview shot. Yeah. So this is Craig's landscape design. It's the QuickBooks sample file, you know, and so this is their business overview. And these are all the little, you know, some people just like all these visual things. It's totally fine. You can do these drop down here and you can say, oh, I want to see the last year or the last week. You can drop these down and change them, and they're sticky. So if you move this to a year and then you come back the next day, it's going to stay sticky. It's going to stay at a year until you drop down, you know, and move it. So you should have two, getting things done and business overview. They used to be crammed together and you had to scroll down to see it all. And our feedback with QuickBooks when we get on our calls is like, look, we don't want to scroll because one, we don't know that we're supposed to scroll. Like we don't see the stuff that's below the line. When we open a tab, we want to see everything. And if you have different, your browsers will act different. And some of you may, like I do, I might make my font kind of bigger. Well, then that will move some of the things off the bottom of the screen. And a lot of time that save tab or that next tab or, you know, that little tab you need, you can't see it and you have to take your little mouse and scroll down. And so we're telling QuickBooks, you need to get everything on one screen and make that save tab move up if we've made our screen bigger. So that's one of the things that they're doing. It's just a little something, but, you know, kind of help. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, I got 3 minutes. Okay, so these are just things that you probably don't need, but some of the bigger nonprofits might use CRMs like HubSpot, and QuickBooks will now roll out in the an enhanced integration with HubSpot. And you've got custom fields. This is only in the QBO advanced file. Some of you may have that. If you do, you can add custom fields. And anything you want to add. How did the people find us? Maybe they're a large fundraising person. Maybe they need to be in your gold group or your platinum group. You can do whatever you want. You can add that field. Then it allows you to sort by that. So Salesforce 3 connector. So some of you might use Salesforce for your CRM to help keep up with donors. Most of you are probably using a different type of donor management system, but it does connect with Salesforce right now if you're interested. All right, that's it. I got it done in an hour, but you'll be able to go back maybe and look at all the things. But I'm open for questions, so please type them in, or if Amy wants to unmute people, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, just raise your hand or put your question in the chat. I think everybody's questions got answered. If not, Miss Lynn, do you mind putting your contact information in the chat?
Yeah, I just stopped sharing my screen, so I think I can see the chat now. I'm so bad. I don't know why when I do that, I can't see it. So there we go. I got the chat now. All right, sure. So it's, and you guys can call us with anything. You know, we have that special deal with ArtsBuild. So you get a good rate with us for human resources and for bookkeeping. So .net. All right, there we go. So yeah, you can contact me anytime. Oh, good. I'm glad I see all the things people say in there. They like the information. I'm so glad. Great. So great. Any questions at all? But I mean, I just encourage you to go back and, you know, try some of those and see. Don't be shy. You can just try it and see if you like them, you know, and see if it works for you. I mean, the whole goal is to find something that works for you and your organization and makes the processes smoother. We don't want to create processes that put kinks in your workload. We want to create processes that make things a lot smoother. So,
well, Miss Lynn, thank you so much. And just to make sure that we're observing everybody's schedules, Thank you all for being here today. I did put the information in a couple times about the Holmberg Arts Leadership Institute, as well as information on how you can view this workshop through Arts Build's YouTube page. And please, please, please email me if you would like your organization to apply for the Ironman volunteer grant. My email is just amy@artsbuild.com. So with that, I think we can end, and thank you, Miss Lynn,
right.
again for another very productive meeting with such helpful information.
Great. All right.
So,
Y'all go rock on and go manage those nonprofits. We need you out there.
thanks, Lynn, and thanks everybody for being here.
Bye.